strong arm and torture somebody.
It's like, oh my gosh, do we have a monster in our midst?
After 22 really harrowing days sharing bikini, she's home. Everyone is overjoyed about this, but it wasn't over yet. Still, these alleged kidnappers are on the loose. Officials say they're looking for 2 Hispanic women that they consider to be armed and dangerous, driving a dark SUV.
2 Hispanic females in a dark-colored SUV in the state of California is not much of a 10.
No, it would be literally a needle in a haystack.
The investigation is far from over. In fact, it has only begun a new chapter.
In this video, you see detectives from the Shasta County Sheriff's Office interviewing Sherry.
She was in a ball, in a cocoon essentially, with her knees up to her chest.
I feel like sometimes it's easier with my eyes closed.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, Keith had to be present for the interview. She would allow us to talk to her alone.
I can't be alone with people I don't know.
So he's here.
Yeah.
He's here for the duration. We're here for you. I'm here for you.
Cops go out of their way to reassure Sherry and make her comfortable, but you can see she's reluctant to open up to them.
That's another thing I'm scared about. I don't know you guys. I don't know if you're in my corner. I know my husband. I know my husband's in my corner, but there was a lot of other things, and I know that you guys know.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing and
Oh,
yucky, and that's weird for me. That's weird for me.
Sherry provides these very unique details about the home where she was held captive. And all of these specifics can help investigators narrow the search, especially as they get closer to potential suspects in the case.
She said she was put into a bedroom. Sherry described that bedroom with just a single bed, no other artifacts inside the room.
There was boards on the windows, and I yanked that from the wall super quick, and that's what got her in the room was that noise. The yanking it out was what made the noise. Broke my nail, ripped it off. She came in, and then it was lights out.
Hispanic Latino community, we were shocked, but it could have happened. I mean, we had to have an open mind and think, well, maybe these were gang affiliates who did this horrible thing.
Sherry told investigators, they kept telling me no one's ever going to believe me. No one's ever going to believe me. That's because people from law enforcement are involved in this ring, and you are going to be sold to someone.
We do have some sex trafficking going on in our community, unfortunately, like probably every community.
But there
unless we have some very strong evidence to disprove her allegations, we need to continue forward with the investigation.
It was hard for investigators to get past the sheer brutality of her injuries.
Her kidnappers had rammed her. And I have to tell you, when I heard that detail, okay, so maybe some really horrible things really did happen to this woman.
I do recall that there's no way to self-inflicted. We have an innate ability not to want to harm ourselves because it hurts.
Years had passed by and really no new information had been released to the public. I honestly thought we just made away.
And then in 2020, there is a massive break in this case, and it's all because of the DNA.
We got the phone call that we have a match.
4 years after Sherry's kidnapping in 2020, investigators decide they need to focus on finding the source of that male DNA found on Sherry's clothing.
Investigators asked permission of the courts to be able to run that DNA against all those DNA ancestry type websites where people contribute their own DNA, looking for familial DNA.
They're hoping somebody in this guy's family had used one of those DNA websites. If they find a relative, they've got a lead. And it worked.
The familial DNA. This man has 2 sons. One of those sons used to date Sherry Papini.
They came back to James Reyes, an ex-boyfriend.
And you see James Reyes in a photo with Sherry from one of her social media posts.
It's a massive break in the case.
So the FBI field officer and myself went down to James's residence to do the computation.
Hello, good morning.
Obviously, he was a little reluctant. He was scared.
We're here regarding Sharon McKee.
Just trying to figure out how you know her, talking to her.
Well, me and Sherry dated back in 2002. I've been talking for years.
There's information that you have about the abduction.
Yeah, because that's all I know. All I know is what I read about it.
We're just trying to understand if she was truly abducted, if she lied to everybody in 2020 and is a liar, or you assume this also happened yesterday.
She said,
And it's not until 53 minutes into this interview that they get Reyes finally convened.
I didn't get accurate. You know, I just. That was that.
What did she say?
She was trying to get away from her husband. Me too. I don't know what her deal was.
She made up stories. Keith was abusing her. She needed to get out of that relationship.
As Sergeant Kyle Wallace chats up Reyes, his FBI colleague wanders the apartment.
Ding, 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 ding. This apartment, this closet, this bathroom look just like the place that Sherry says she was held captive.
All the way down to Alfred. Alfred, that's the school, the middle rival school. She said she was chained to that chain. Yeah.
The ex-boyfriend's version of what happened is radically different from what Sherry told the authorities happened.
You're saying absolutely. It was just you and her that there were no females involved.
Wow, how you guys heard all that.
He was leading the fight, but he was along with it.
I just know what the final plan was. We ended up together. Was that your plan?
It's fair to say you were motivated, you were getting together there.
No, I wasn't there yet.
She instructed James to get a rental car, leave his cell phone at his house, and drive the 9 hours or so to get to Redding, California to pick her up.
He gets her down to his apartment, gives Sherry the bedroom, and he sleeps on the couch.
Sherry asked him to put up the plywood to block out the window. I think James thought he was strange, but he was also just helping a friend.
Sherry told the world that she had sat there, locked up, chained, miserable, abused. But Reyes says the truth was that she voluntarily spent time alone, reading the news of her own disappearance.
She starts to act erratically, according to him. She starts losing a lot of weight. He says she's not eating much. One day he came home from work and she'd cut off her hair.
But then things get far more twisted. Remember all those terrible injuries covering Sherry's body?
How did all that stuff?
I mean, she did while she was here.
infamous Thanksgiving morning, James Reyes says he dropped Sherry off in a remote area.
It's the greatest story ever of survival, right? Except it never happened. It's a lie. It's a hoax. It's all made up.
We come up with a plan to do an interview to confront her with this evidence.
Continue on US
First
515.
time 2020 takes you inside the interrogation room for that dramatic police confrontation.
I didn't do anything wrong.
How do stop losses work on Kraken? Let's say I have a birthday party on Wednesday night, but an important meeting Thursday morning. So sensible me pre-books a taxi for 10 p.m. with alerts. Voila! I won't be getting carried away and staying out till 2. That's stop loss orders on Kraken. An easy way to plan ahead. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DK Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run an exclusive ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIPSYN ads.com.
In August of 2020, investigators asked Sherry and her husband to come in.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Thanks to the cooperation of that ex-boyfriend, James Reyes, investigators now believe they have solid proof Sherry Papini's kidnapping was a hoax.
The plan's developed to confront her with this and get a reaction.
Does she have any idea what's about to happen?
Oh no.
So were you able to find where that house is? What? Tell me more. Tell me more. Okay.
She's confronted with pictures that look exactly like the places she says. I mean, she described a crack in the tile in the bathroom.
So this crack is in a different location than this crack.
And they showed her a picture of that exact crack. And they say, does this look like, the place that you were held captive? And she's like, yeah, kind of, but not exactly.
It's pretty. Excuse my language. It's pretty similar. But it's different.
There was even a pole in the closet where she was staying.
Yes.
Keith right next to her jumping up and down saying it's the right one.
So he thinks this is a break in the case.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He thinks they found the abductors.
Yes.
We talked to the people who lived there.
Sorry.
We found the house. We found who was involved.
When the police finally dropped the bomb, the mood changes and the body language changes.
DNA came back, like I said, to a specific person. And that specific person told us very specific things. So if we can talk with Keith or without Keith here, what would you like?
You want to step out or you want to stay?
Obviously, I want to stay.
And you can see on that video that the detectives step out to let them decide.
You need to stop waiting from the truth now.
And at this point, Sherry tells Keith that she doesn't want police to catch that captor who she claims helped her escape.
I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to anyone. She's the reason I get that whole my children every single day.
The detectives go back and pretty much lay this case out.
The DNA on you belongs to James Reyes. We talked to him. He's been on the polygraph. We talked to everybody around him. We have the rental agreements, phone rental, car rental agreements. The reason why you lost him is because he stopped me. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store and bought the brand and chose the brand. The reason why your boat was broke is because of the heist. It's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her. No. I rented a car. I drove up and picked her up. He passed the polygraph down here. That's not what happened with him.
No, there's no way it's James. There's no way. There's no way.
And she's like, no.
That's not what happened with him.
There's no way it's James. There's no way. There's no way.
And she's like, no. You mean he's behind it? I just cannot believe that my ex-boyfriend's behind my kidnapping.
Keith is in the room.
In 1/2 mile, take the ramp on the right to I-25 South toward Albuquerque.
Are you surprised that she stuck to her guns even after you presented what, appeared to be this incredibly compelling evidence?
No. She had spun this story for so long that she wasn't going to come off of it.
They tell her that they have proof of phone contact with her and James, and that sends her spinning off into another direction.
My fault, but it was really bad. It was such a stupid thing to do. You love my husband. You love my children.
That's understandable.
So stupid.
Here's the deal though, Sherry. Flirting with other men, not a crime. Lying to me today, yes, a crime.
She just went into her cocoon state where she just tried to control the interview by crying, putting her head in her hands, not answering the questions.
So either
I didn't do anything wrong.
right now, they're not telling the truth. We should do something wrong.
And she's begging police to protect the captor who she claims let her go.
Email putting that in yes.
I am done speaking to you as I talk to you later. I will not arrest her. I am with my children because of her. You don't understand. There is no way you love me.
I agree.
Did you ever get an impression from Keith?
You want to leave.
Take the ramp on the right to I-25 South toward Albuquerque.
Just upset.
Hey, you get to go home now, but do you think I want her anywhere around me or around me at all?
I don't know what the next stage is in this. That's why.
It's not us together, right? Yeah. I'm shocked.
Next, Keith Papini opening up about discovering his wife's story. That terrifying abduction in those 22 days in captivity, all of it made up.
Sherry Papini, California mother who is now admitting her story of being kidnapped was all a hoax.
The amount of fear that our family lived in that was fake is excruciating.
Keith Papini in this case.
Continue on I-25.
He's had to endure a lot of humiliation.
Brainwashed, gaslit, everything by Sherry.
And where does his relationship with Sherry stand today? Has Sherry ever apologized to you or the children? In March of 2022, 6 years after Sherry Papini vanished while on an afternoon jog,
Sherry Papini arrested on charges as she allegedly lied to federal agents about being kidnapped.
news breaks that mother of two has been arrested.
Now being accused of making the whole thing up. A stunning admission. Sherry Papini has now admitted it was all a hoax. Will plead guilty to lying to federal agents about the case.
There's a plea deal. She's avoiding trial entirely. As part of this agreement, she has to admit, which she did in writing and through her attorney, that she made the whole thing up.
After Sherry pleads guilty, Keith files for divorce. He's asking for full custody. But there's still one final piece in this crazy puzzle.
Why did you lie?
And her sentencing, Sherry gets 18 months in federal prison. She served just 10
mysterious disappearance of Sherry Papini. It's streaming right now. That's our program for tonight.
In 1¼ miles, take exit 233 on the right toward New Mexico 528 West, then take the second right. Take exit 233 on the right toward New Mexico 528 West, then take the second right. Turn right at the traffic light. Continue on Alameda Boulevard Northeast. 1/4 mile, make a U-turn. When possible, make a U-turn. Take the ramp on the right to New Mexico 423 West. In 1 mile, take the exit on the left to 2nd Street toward 4th Street. In 3/4 mile, take the exit on the left to 2nd Street, then take the first right